What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Chiefs Zone podcast. I am Farzin Vousoughian, and happy Victory Monday to all of you. Hope you're all enjoying your Victory Monday as the Chiefs are 4-3 and above 500 for the first time this season. I think everyone certainly enjoys that stat right there. Yeah, took a while. Took about 7 weeks, but the Chiefs are above 500 right now. Really kind of getting into it now, and we'll talk about where the Chiefs are right now. That's usually what we do on a Monday after a Chiefs game, and kind of discuss the state of the Chiefs, where they're at the moment, and what to expect moving forward. We will talk about both the offense and the defense. I don't want to spend too much time on the offense. Let's get some defensive talk going in here, because I do like what I've seen from the defense lately. So I think they deserve some love and coverage on today's podcast. But on the offensive note, there is one thing, because I think we've kind of gone all over the place with the offense, especially with the podcast and some of the video reels that we've been putting out. But I do have a question to ask you guys later on. So I do need your guys' answers on where your stances are on certain things with the offense. We'll get into that later on. Talk about some of the reactions from the media about the Chiefs at the moment, and also some injury updates and more. If you guys want to be part of the conversation, facebook.com/Farzin Vousoughian, at Farzin21 on X, at Farzin Vousoughian on Instagram. We're on Threads as well. YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel at the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Greatly appreciate all of you guys who have been subscribing, commenting, wherever it is you follow on social media. Some of you guys on multiple platforms, and that really means a lot. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. That really means a lot. Before we get any further into the show, I want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek, the spot where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs, whether it's Chiefs, KU, K-State, Mizzou, Royals baseball. Next year, we've got college basketball coming up, still have some baseball playoffs going on. Whatever it is you want to attend, SeatGeek's got the tickets for you. And if you're a new SeatGeek customer, you can use my promo code FARZIN and save $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, get your tickets, and when you check out, don't forget to use my promo code FARZIN if you're a new SeatGeek customer, and you will save $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. All right. This news just came in about an hour ago, and I did want to react to this. I just saw this right before the show started. But Dre Greenlaw of the Broncos was formerly with the 49ers. And of course, a lot of people remember he suffered that injury in Super Bowl 58. That allowed the Chiefs to kind of get back into the game. But he has been suspended one game because he went after the referee after the game, apparently threatening this referee. And I saw the footage. Now, you can't necessarily hear what's being said, but in the midst of, the game-winning field goal, the immediate aftermath, they're all celebrating. Greenlaw does go immediately. He celebrated for 2 whole seconds. He quickly runs up to the head official, and I apologize, I don't know the name of the referee offhand, but he goes up to him, and you can tell he's got a lot to say. It's not a, hey, man, you got to, call it better. Nothing quick like that. I mean, he's got a whole monologue he's shouting at the referee while the referee's trying to leave. For those who don't know, or maybe you've never paid attention in person, as soon as the clock hits 0, or if, there's 20 seconds left and the team goes for a QB kneel and there's no need for the remaining 19 seconds, the referees get the heck out of there, and they're basically out of there. Anything that takes place, you kind of like what you saw with the Lions game, Chiefs-Lions game last week. Any altercations that happen after the game, referees are not responsible for. They're gone. They're in the locker room changing. They're going to do their media obligation with the local pool reporter, and they're done basically. Dre Greenlaw went up to the official and had a lot to say. Which, first of all, cameras are everywhere. You have to know that these things are going to get captured no matter what. What made you think that was a good idea? And to threaten the official, I mean, listen, we don't have audio of the whole thing. Maybe it comes out, maybe it doesn't. But you have to, I mean, listen, everyone's mic'd up. Everyone's got a microphone on them. Some of the players have a mic. The referees are definitely mic'd up. I mean, they've got the stadium mics on them, but do they have a mic that while they're being recorded? Because remember in Super Bowl 58 when the 49ers picked to receive the kickoff in overtime. And on the NFL films, the referees were mic'd up saying, yeah, I can't believe those referees wanted to, the 49ers wanted to receive. So the referees are mic'd up. Do they use a lot of their audio content? Probably not. You almost never ever see that. But you can't be going up to the referee and shouting at them, you won the game. Was it kind of dramatic in the end there? Yeah. And you saw Sean Payton get hit with that penalty as well late in the game, which, by the way, man, the Giants, what a collapse. A colossal choke. 33 points allowed in one quarter. Listen, I know a lot of people are going to say the defense should have played better, but dude, they just had all the momentum. When they had pass interference at the 1 or the 2, wherever it ended up being, dude, run a play. They had no timeouts. Instead, you gave them 35, 40 seconds to work with. That's plenty of time for a team that doesn't have time. And they just had all the momentum. But neither here nor there. Brian Daboll, former Chiefs OC Brian Daboll, that guy. Listen, man, I like the Giants. I think they've got talent to turn things around, but boy, that was a bad loss for them against Denver. The Chiefs almost had the perfect day. They won, and the Raiders obviously lost to the Chiefs. The Chargers lost to the Colts, and the Giants just could not hold them off. But what are you going to do about it? That's why you got to win your games. You got to be in control of what you can control. And the Chiefs right now in control of some things. Obviously, they need a little bit of help to get ahead in the AFC West and in the conference, as right now, in terms of the playoff picture, which, you know, we're going into week 8. We have a pair of Monday Night Football games going on tonight. But in terms of the Chiefs, where they are right now, they're number 8 in the playoff picture. I think there are a lot of people outside of Kansas City, and perhaps this was wishful thinking. They did not think the Chiefs would be at this spot right now. And they let a couple of games get away from them this year on those 3 losses, especially that Jaguars game. And, you could look at that Philly and the Chargers game, couple differences could have been made in that game. And I think, listen, from the other side of it, the Chargers and Eagles could have done some things, as well as the Jags, to win by more than one possession. So listen, you can't dwell on those kinds of things too much. At the end of the day, you won the games you won and you lost the games you've lost. Fortunately, right now for the Chiefs, through 7 weeks, they're 4-3, finally above 500 for the first time this season, and they're far from done. A lot of people thought the dynasty was over, the Chiefs were finished. We heard all kinds of narratives, and the narrative shift has been crazy. A lot of the people that wrote off the Chiefs or didn't think much of them after 2 weeks, well, look where we are now. The Chiefs. I just saw Dana Orlovsky say that the Colts are the second best team in the AFC. And some people were asking who's won. And he said the Chiefs. I disagree. I think the Chiefs are the second best. And listen, there's nothing wrong with being the second best right now. I think we have to recognize they got off to a very slow start. They gave away that Jaguars game. But I think if I'm going to do my power rankings, which, by the way, right now on my power rankings, the Chiefs are the second best team in the AFC. And they're definitely going to move up in the rankings when they come out tomorrow morning. But I still think with this Chiefs team, they're number 2 in the AFC. And there's nothing wrong with that at the moment. I still think you have to give the number 1 label to the Colts. They've earned it. They've been playing consistently well all year long, better than the Chiefs have for sure. And obviously, when the two teams played later this year, that's going to be a big showdown. I mentioned last night, if you look at the 3-game schedule, the 3-game stretch, the Bills, and then after the bye week, the Broncos and the Colts, on the road for the Bills and Broncos, at home for the Colts. I'm sure CBS has the Bills game protected, but I would bet good money that one of those 2 games, Denver or Indy, gets flexed. My guess is Indy, because CBS only has one Chiefs-Broncos game. The other one's going to be on Netflix for the Christmas Day game. So I think it's safe to assume that the NFL would probably be highly inclined to want to flex the Chiefs-Colts game to Sunday Night Football. And I think the Chiefs are on max games for primetime. So I would imagine, unless the Texans start playing better, I would imagine that Texans game in December, I think it's on the 7th or the 8th. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but It's the first or second week of December. That could get flexed out of prime time unless the Texans start playing better, which we'll find out. We'll see how things go. But those are just my thoughts on that. Let me ask this question about the offense. Because, listen, we've talked about Rashee Rice and this wide receiver trio and how much Mahomes has really played well over the last few weeks. But here's my question for you. Has your opinion changed on Matt Nagy? Do you have a different opinion on Matt Nagy right now? Because he's been under fire for a couple of years now, especially when Eric Bieniemy left and the comparisons that were made. And I don't think, listen, I think there was a lot of blame to go around with what happened 2 years ago with the drops. I think coaches certainly have to bear a lot of the responsibility for that, as well as the players that were on the field. I think the only receiver from that group still on the team now is Rashee Rice. But you had that issue. Connor Embry, the wide receivers coach, he faced a lot of criticism. Andy Heck has faced a lot of criticism for Kingsley Suamataia struggling, Jawaan Taylor not getting his penalties down. And with Josh Simmons out, and we'll get into Josh Simmons shortly, Jalen Moore's played great stepping in, filling in that role at left tackle for Josh Simmons. Jawaan Taylor, he's gone up against some good edge rushers lately. Aiden Hutchinson, as well as Max Crosby. And prior to Max Crosby's injury, Crosby he wasn't really a factor in that game. Now, listen, I mean, your edge rusher, literally the only reliable player you had on the field on Sunday afternoon, but even he had a very difficult time against the Chiefs. But I do want to know from you guys, has your opinion at all changed on Matt Nagy, as well as the other offensive coaches who have faced some criticism over the years, whether it's recently or maybe a year or two ago, specifically the wide receivers coach Connor Embry and also the offensive line coach Andy Heck? Sean says something I've been saying for a long time. We blame him when the offense isn't doing well, but credit Andy when the offense does well. This is what I've been saying for a long time. Whenever, whether it was Eric Bieniemy or right now Nagy, whenever things work on offense, who gets the credit? Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Rashee Rice, like whoever is playing for the Chiefs, plus Andy Reid, those are the guys who get all the credit. And then when things are not working, okay, the drops, yeah, the receivers got a lot of the blame there, but Andy Reid didn't get criticized for the drops. But I saw a lot of Matt Nagy criticisms out there, a lot of Connor Embry, and with the offensive line woes, a lot of criticism on Andy Heck. But when things are working, the only coach that gets any kind of praise is Andy Reid. And I'm not a fan of that. You cannot do, and I'm not saying the coaches themselves are doing this, but I'm saying from a fan's perspective, you can't do the whole, hey, listen, our beloved favorites on the Chiefs, they get credit when it all works, and when it doesn't work, you can't blame them. You can't do that. You can't give them all the credit when things are working. I just don't think that's valid or reasonable. Look, I know there's this big mystery. Who is the play caller? And maybe that's part of the reason why Bieniemy has not gotten a job. He got a lot of interest. Matt Nagy is right now. I mean, he's kind of in the midst of a head coaching rumor with the Tennessee Titans, and perhaps maybe another team will come up as more firings occur later on in the season, especially once we get to January. But this is a fan base that's been very critical of Matt Nagy and a couple of the position coaches as well on the offensive side of the football. Now that the Chiefs are winning more and the offense is playing much better, I mean, they've got the highest scoring output the last 4 weeks on average. Is anybody questioning Matt Nagy right now? Is anybody talking about Andy Reid and whether or not the game is past him? I know the subject here at hand is not Andy Reid specifically, but a lot of people were on Matt Nagy's case. And, the play calling thing, I know that's a mystery. We don't really know what's going on. Andy Reid's kind of given some answers, making it seem like he's the play caller. Okay. I mean, take that for what it's worth to you. But no one's criticizing Connor Embry. No one's criticizing Andy Heck. I think a lot of Chiefs fans have backed off on the offensive coaching staff. And I'm seeing some comments here, because I asked the same question on Twitter too. A lot of people are saying, I hope he finds a head coaching job. for different reasons. I had one tweet here that says just because the offense is playing better with more receivers available doesn't make them a good OC. I mean, listen, what offensive coordinator is going to thrive with Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney committing drops? And I know we're well removed from those two guys, but I don't know. I'd like to think the coaches have done everything, or they did everything possible to address that with the team a couple of years ago, and that was an issue. Just weren't addressing it well enough, I guess, or maybe the players were just completely incompetent of improving from it. I don't know. The fact that there was a drop carousel going on with not just one receiver, but all the receivers, including Justin Ross, who is not on an NFL roster since he got let go by the Chiefs, not even in training camp. He barely played in 2023 and he was committing drops. So I have no idea what 2023 was really about and why that happened the way it did. But we're well removed from it. We're not complaining about receivers dropping passes. That was an issue 2 years ago. We're not complaining about offensive linemen not protecting Patrick Mahomes. That was a big issue last year, specifically at the tackles position. We're not talking about any of that right now. So I just want to know from you guys what your thoughts are on the offensive coaching staff, specifically Nagy and those two position coaches, which have faced a lot of criticism over the last couple of years. Defensively, I know it's been an inconsistent year for the Chiefs. They didn't do well against the Chargers, and I also think the Chargers left some points on the scoreboard that night in Brazil with a couple of passes that were overthrown by Justin Herbert. And then the only other bad offensive game you can really point, to be clear, a bad defensive game against an offense that beat up on the Chiefs. The only one you can really point to is Jacksonville. Obviously, one of those touchdowns that were scored, the pick six, can't be held against the defense. But it just seemed like, there were points where the defense was allowing Jacksonville to do whatever it wanted to do. You covered everyone down the field, great, but you let Trevor Lawrence run free in this game. Again, like I said, Jacksonville left some points on the board also, especially with that fumble at the goal on 4th and goal, which quickly turned into a Chiefs touchdown drive. So, listen, as far as I see it, you saw 14-point swings from both of those teams that night. But you certainly, when you lose that game, it's a bigger deal versus the team that won. But the Chiefs, listen, I say what you want about Detroit being banged up in the secondary. That can certainly, a good offense helps a good defense and vice versa. But Detroit had all of their offensive players available. Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the running back duo, Sonic and Knuckles, they were all available for them that night, last week, I should say. And they were non-factors in this game against the Chiefs. So it's not like the Chiefs just went up against a bunch of backups when they played Detroit. Obviously, you're not going to use the Vegas game as a valid measuring stick. Baltimore, okay, I mean, listen, they had Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, and I think it certainly helps when the offense got off to a big lead because they had to abandon Derrick Henry, who's their best player for sure. And then, going up against New York, holding them to 9 points. I think they missed the PAT if I remember correctly. Again, a Raiders team that's just bad. You held them to 0 points, 3 first downs the entire game. I mean, they only had 30 plays? Boy, that is severely low. So the Chiefs defense, they did what they were supposed to do against the Raiders. We'll see, what happens against Washington, whether or not Jaden Daniels will be available. I'll get to that shortly. But you play Buffalo, you can't ever write off Josh Allen. And I know that their offense is, dealing with some bumps right now, but you can't ever write them off. Same with Bo Nix. They're being inconsistent at the moment, but they can light it up. They did it against the Eagles. They sure as hell did it to the Giants in the fourth quarter. The Colts are just, they've got the best running back in the game right now. And the Chiefs have done really well against running backs, have not allowed a running back to rush for 100 or more yards in 33 straight games now, playoffs included. So that's pretty good. So, listen, the Chiefs defense will be challenged. So there's still room to grow when you look at overall body of work this season, but that they needed a game like that against the Raiders. That's for sure. They definitely needed that. When you look at some of the reactions around the league, there are a lot of people who have the Chiefs as a top 5 team despite being 4-3 and right now number 8 in the AFC playoff picture. Listen, I do indeed believe they're a top 5 team. They're playing like one. And I think when you look at the offensive output, and I posted this on social media this morning with the way the Chiefs have been playing. What was the big knock on the Chiefs last year? Oh, well, they're squeezing by, getting lucky, and not blowing out their opponents. And people would compare that to the Lions last year and say, well, the Lions are destroying everyone. Okay, well, how did that pan out? Lions lost. But listen, both Kansas City and Detroit last year, they have a lot in common from last year. Both had a lot of injuries. Both won 15 games. Both got the number 1 seed. Unfortunately for the Lions, they lost their first playoff game against the Commanders. And listen, 2 years ago, when the Chiefs won Super Bowl 58, they faced a lot of teams that were in the top 5 in point differential, like the 49ers in the Super Bowl, the Ravens in the AFC title game, the Bills in the divisional round. The Dolphins, I mean, they went on a scoring tear that year as well, if you guys remember. That was the same year where they scored 70 on Denver. But the Chiefs were able to beat those teams. They didn't beat Buffalo in the regular season, but beat them when it mattered the most in the divisional round. So, listen, the point differential, that's a key stat, don't get me wrong. But with the Chiefs, that was a big knock on them last year. Well, now when you look at Kansas City, there have been, ever since their 0-2 start, they've outscored their opponents by a combined score in 5 games, 148-77. And that includes a 31-28 loss to Jacksonville. So this is a team that certainly has made a lot of improvement, especially on the offensive side over the last few weeks. When you look at point differential right now, and I just completely on ESPN just went to the wrong place. I went to NHL standings. That is certainly not where I wanted to go. When you go to, I was wondering why the point differentials were so low. When you go to the point differential right now, number 1 in the NFL, and I recognize we have 4 teams playing tonight, and obviously we have some teams that have had some bye weeks already, but the Colts plus 92. And there's a big gap between 1 and 2 right now. But do you know who number 2 is? The Kansas City Chiefs. For as much as people got on the Chiefs for not blowing teams out last year, it's happening this year. Can't sit here and say, oh, well, the Chiefs are just getting by, bad officiating and lucky breaks here. Not this year. Can't really say that. Are they 0-3 in close games? Yeah, that needs to improve because they're going to be involved in close games, especially in that 3-game stretch I mentioned. But I think defensively, we'll see what they look like during that 3-game stretch, a very important 3-game stretch down the line for the Chiefs. And that's coming up very soon after that Monday night game next week. All right, Josh Simmons. Andy Reid was not asked about Josh Simmons. He just brought it up himself when he was providing an injury update. He didn't have any injury updates, but shortly after his press conference, there was an update regarding one player, and I'll get into that. It's bad news, unfortunately. As far as Josh Simmons, basically what he said last week, still out dealing with a personal matter. As far as we know, it sounds like it is a family matter. He's still dealing with that. I will say right now, he's not been placed on any kind of reserve list. So even though he has not provided a timetable as to when Simmons will return, if the Chiefs thought he was going to be out, which they usually make those moves on Saturday, if they thought he was going to be out long term, they would have done something by now. So listen, I don't want to speculate too much. I think the Chiefs have made it very clear it's a family matter and that Brett Veach is dealing with it. So let's just leave it at that. Unfortunately, there is some bad news. One season-ending injury, and that is defensive tackle Omar Norman-Lott, the rookie who the Chiefs got in the second round out of Tennessee. His rookie campaign is over after MRIs confirmed that he tore his ACL, so obviously his season is done. That's unfortunate. The Chiefs' defensive line, that's been the weakest link on this team so far. And a player who's shown some promise for the Chiefs this season, and unfortunately he's been dealing with a lot of injuries this year in Omar Norman-Lott. His season is now over, and that puts the Chiefs in a very interesting spot, what they want to do. We saw the report from Diana Russini of The Athletic. She mentioned that the Chiefs are, in her most recent report over the weekend, not in the market for a running back, but more so for a defensive lineman. And I think with this Omar Norman-Lott injury, you have to wonder where are the Chiefs going to go. And I've seen a lot of people bring up Mike Pennel. I don't think the Bengals have any interest trading anyone out right now. They didn't give up much to get Joe Flacco, which the Browns are getting a lot of flack for that, given how the Bengals looked last Thursday night with Flacco and that high-powered offensive group of receivers he has. But which is funny, I'm laughing because there was a report that came out, Flacco approved of the trade. Well, of course he approved of the trade. He went from having Jerry Jeudy to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Yoshi Voss, Noah Fant. I mean, of course he okayed that. Why wouldn't he? Plus, he just went across the state line, went from north to south. Cleveland's up north, and Cincy's down south. So, yeah, he didn't have to do a whole lot of moving. That's one thing that a lot of players hate when they get traded midseason is the move. Don't really need to worry about that much with him in terms of family situation and whatnot. So, yeah, of course he okayed that. I would too if I was Joe Flacco. But yeah, listen, I don't think, because I'm hearing all these rumors that the Bengals will trade Trey Hendrickson. Listen, I know there's a lot of drama with Trey right now, but they're trying to win, even though they're kind of they got off to a great start, but they've slipped lately. Just won on Thursday night, but they're trying to save their season to where if they're still in playoff contention, they'll have Joe Burrow back in December. That's the anticipation. So I don't think the Bengals are sellers like some people think they are. Unfortunately for the Chiefs, they're not going to get Mike Pennel back. So I think you can, unless you're going to give up something big and unrealistic. But if you're Kansas City, the bad news is the defensive tackle market is not very good right now. Perhaps Calais Campbell is someone the Chiefs might target with the Arizona Cardinals. Another player, and again, now we're kind of going in an area where, not necessarily the most exciting list of names here, but Shelby Harris. I know he's up there in age. He's been around a long time. He was a draft pick with the Raiders, I believe, in 2014 in the 7th round. Certainly has had a better career than most 7th round picks, no question about it. But played for the Raiders, played for the Broncos for 5 seasons, played for a lot of different teams in his career, including Dallas, right now with Arizona. But I'm sorry, right now with Cleveland. But man, it's hard to say. There, I mentioned Calais Campbell. He was drafted in 2008, 2nd round by the Cardinals, and is right now back with the team that once drafted him. So, man, I don't know. I mean, there aren't a lot of options. I know Jermaine Johnson has been mentioned, not a defensive tackle, but someone who could come in and provide some edge support for Kansas City, because people feel like they could use not just defensive tackle help, but defensive end help as well. Defensive end, edge rusher, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, the options for defensive linemen are not the best right now. Certainly not the best. Could they still get a running back? Maybe. Listen, I don't think this running back by committee you've got going on is the worst thing in the world. Could it be better? Sure. But I think the Chiefs, they're okay with their bread and butter being in the passing game. So I think that's something they're completely okay with moving forward. A couple other injury updates. Andy Reid did not have any, I should say lack thereof updates, did not have anything to say about Trey Smith or Jawaan Taylor. Jawaan Taylor, I think, dealt with a knee injury, and Trey Smith with a lower back injury. Listen, these things they're not well-kept secrets. So if there was something significant, I'd like to think it would have been mentioned by now. Because we're getting all kinds of injury updates. We heard about Omar Norman-Lott from National Insiders. And I know with Jaden Daniels, which is a good time to kind of transition to that right now, because that's significant for the Chiefs next Monday night. Jaden Daniels had an MRI on his hamstring, according to Schefter. Nothing serious or long-term, but his status for Monday is to be determined. He apparently wanted to go back into the game, according to some reports, against Dallas, but it was a blowout win for Dallas, so there was really no reason to put him out there. It wasn't really worth the risk. Marcus Mariota, Yeah, Marcus Mariota. Chiefs fans have some PTSD from that. He is the backup quarterback for the Commanders in case Jayden Daniels cannot go. Schefter was on McAfee's show today and said he'd be surprised if Daniels plays next week. I think the good news is for both the Chiefs and the Commanders with guys like Trey Smith, Jawan Taylor, Jayden Daniels, the good news is you're going to be playing on a Monday, so there is an extra day to prepare and try to recover if need be. So that is the good news there. Boy, I will say, I mean, and let me, maybe I can get into this more on the next podcast. Not now, but think about this for a moment here. Because Jayden Daniels has had a little bit of a step back year, not necessarily having the season that he had last year. But man, look at who they have at their quarterback positions. They have Jayden Daniels as their starter and Marcus Mariota as their backup. And when was Marcus Mariota drafted? Was it 2014 or 2015? I think it was 2014. Yeah, we might as well get into it now. And let's see where the player selections are. Let me see if I can find a better place. Apologies here. Let's see. There we go. This is a better place. Yeah, 2014. No, it was not 2014. 2014, the highest QB drafted was Blake Bortles. I had moments, I guess, with Jacksonville, especially with the Allens there, Allen Hurns, Allen Robinson. 2015, that's when Mariota and Winston were drafted. Look at them now. They're both backups in the league. Who was the next quarterback drafted that year after Winston and Mariota? Man, I remember a lot of people thought Winston and Mariota were going to run the league for a long year. Garrett Grayson, who did, I don't even know if that guy played it. He was a third-round pick. One pick before Chris Conley for the Chiefs. 2016, it was Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. Jared Goff went first, Carson Wentz second. Jared Goff switched teams, but he's still starting doing well. Carson Wentz has now turned into a career backup, unfortunately, including for the Chiefs last year. 2017, we all know who was drafted this year, Patrick Mahomes, but before that, it's funny because even though Mahomes has obviously had the best career, Deshaun Watson got the most hype, but was taken 12th that year when the Texans traded up. The first quarterback taken was Mitchell Trubisky. He was the number 2 pick behind Myles Garrett for Chicago that year. And obviously, you know, those two quarterbacks, their careers have not even come close to panning. Oh, yeah, Trubisky's turned into a career backup. Watson's kind of in career backup territory right now. 2018, Baker Mayfield. Yeah, he had a little bit of a rough stretch where Cleveland let him go, and he was going in Nomad World, playing for 3 different teams in 1 year, but he has now found a home in Tampa. Sam Darnold looked like he was going to turn into a journeyman, but I think he resurrected his career last year with Minnesota and now doing some good things for Seattle. Josh Rosen, unfortunately, not at all what anyone thought he was going to be. Josh Allen that year. Oh, how could I have gone through and missed Josh Allen there? One of the very rare draft picks that have worked out and a guy who's still with the team in terms of the quarterback position in the first round. 2019, Kyler Murray still with the team, but I think Cardinals fans are already excited for Jacoby Brissett more than Kyler Murray. Oddly enough, Daniel Jones, okay, I mean, he's had a rough go at it lately, but right now he's doing good things with the Colts. Dwayne Haskins, unfortunately, a very short career and passed away a few years ago. Not the strongest quarterback class in 2019. 2020, number 1 pick was Joe Burrow. Tua also drafted that year, as well as Justin Herbert, both in the top 10. Tua, and listen, he might be on thin ice right now. And Justin Herbert's done some good things, and I thought this year he was on his way to having a great season. Unfortunately, no offensive line, that can hurt you. Jordan Love was drafted late in the first round that year. So you have Jordan Love, who had to wait a while and is doing some good things. And now Joe Burrow, yes, he's missed a lot of games due to injuries, but Joe Burrow is still one of the better quarterback draft selections in the first round in the last 10 years. I mean, outside of Mahomes, Allen, and Jordan Love, is there anyone that you would make a case for above Joe Burrow? Again, I know he's missed a lot of games, but he's still done more good than a lot of the other quarterbacks that have been taken in the first round in recent years. Now we're in 2021. I know these are more recent QBs, so but we've still seen a lot of movement with them. Trevor Lawrence still with the Jaguars, but boy, they're inconsistent. Kind of makes that Chiefs loss more frustrating. And then Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. Those guys were 2 and 3 in the draft that year. Their careers have not panned out well at all. Justin Fields was an early selection, 11th overall. Mac Jones. Boy, my whole point in bringing this up right here, you look at the quarterbacks that have been taken in the first round over the years. Kenny Pickett in 2022. Not a lot of QBs taken that year. Man, Kansas City was fortunate. Because, man, I still remember the time where I really was hoping Matt Stafford would have come to Kansas City. Unfortunately, the Chiefs were 2 picks behind the number 1 pick. But when you just look at the landscape of the quarterback position right now, specifically in the first round, I mean, boy, Kansas City's very fortunate. They waited a long time to get their first round QB. Waited, 25 years, 30 years, whatever it was, but worth the wait. I mean, who else could you have brought in? I know people like to say, well, if Mahomes was on another team and Allen or Burrow or whoever was in KC, that quarterback would thrive in KC. Man, you just never know with these hypotheticals. Look, Alex Smith had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Alex Smith won a playoff game in 2015, but in 2016, when they brought in Tyreek Hill, Alex Smith never won a playoff game with Hill and Kelce together. People love to knock on Mahomes to say, oh, well, he's only good because of the guys he's had to work with since he got drafted. Yeah, he got drafted to a great situation. Not a lot of quarterbacks do. You look at 2023, CJ Stroud was number 2. Bryce Young's number 1. CJ Stroud had a great rookie season, but has kind of gone back. Anthony Richardson was number 4 that year. Boy, I mean, are Colts fans missing Anthony Richardson right now? I don't think so. And then in last year's draft, which I know you can't get into it right now, but Caleb Williams, I'd say he's doing better at the moment over Jaden Daniels, who won Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. Drake May starting to play much better as well in his second season. Jaden Daniels took a little bit of a step back this year. Michael Penix, who was a number 8 pick. J.J. McCarthy, unfortunately dealing with all kinds of injuries. Bo Nix taking a little bit of a step back this year as well. I mean, the Chiefs, whenever they got the quarterback they wanted in Patrick Mahomes, they waited at the right moment to get a quarterback. I mentioned Drake May. Not too long ago, the Patriots also drafted Mac Jones. I mean, listen, hopefully Drake May pans out, and I think he will, especially under Mike Vrabel. But boy, some of these quarterbacks have had multiple quarterbacks taken in the first round or in the second round. The Titans, they drafted Will Levis in 2023, and then 2 years later, drafting Cam Ward. I mean, some teams have just had a rough go at it with quarterback selection. So Kansas City's very fortunate that they got the quarterback they got in 2017, because if they felt the need to let Alex Smith play one more year or even finish out his full contract and get a quarterback a year or two later, boy, I don't know what conversations we'd be having right now. There sure as hell would not have been a docuseries on the Chiefs dynasty. That is for damn sure. You can write that one in the books and take that to the bank. But Kansas City, very fortunate. I just thought of this because the Chiefs are facing the Commanders, who have Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota. 2 first-round QBs on their roster. That's not something you ever... How many teams in NFL history have had 2 first-round QBs on their roster, on their active roster? I don't think there's many. I don't think there are many teams that have done that. So I guess the Chiefs did at one point with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, but that was obviously a whole different deal. A lot of people knew Smith was on the way out. So good on the Chiefs. They waited when they waited for the right time. Could not have timed that one any better for Kansas City. We'll be back later this week. We will preview the game between the Chiefs and the Commanders. Hopefully we'll have some injury updates on Juwan Taylor and Trey Smith. Trey Smith, of course, a Pro Bowl guard, and Juwan Taylor playing better lately. So we'll see what the latest news will be on them by the next time we are here on the Chiefs Zone podcast. I'm Farzin Vousoughian. Thank you all for joining me for this edition of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. For those of you on Facebook, X, YouTube, Instagram, appreciate you all. If you missed any part of this live stream, it'll be available on the archived versions very soon. And if you tuned in late, yeah, like I said, Apple, Spotify, Facebook, X, YouTube, it'll be there shortly. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please give it a share, let your friends know, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. My name is Farzin Vousoughian. Appreciate you all joining me. I will talk to you all later this week. Take care.